Well, there are two camps of people reactions that I can conceivably see greeting this movie. So I'm really curious how well it does. Which side of the spectrum the audience will run, because I can completely see people kind of giving themselves over to it and having a good time with it.
Right.
I could also see people watching it and saying this movie is absurdly awful.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it all depends upon how you respond to the gleification of the hairband music from the 80s.
Okay, is that what we have going on here, essentially, is Glee? It's very Glee-like in that sense?
It is, but that being, and there's a couple of negatives with it. The two leads, Juliana Hough and Diego, the male and female love interest, the two younger leads, they're fine, but their voices are so kind of bland.
Oh, okay.
Particularly for this kind of music, which works best when you have a lot of kind of personality in your voice,
right, or
some kind of presence in your voice. That doesn't quite work. The story is so obvious in
right.
the extreme, so you're not necessarily interested in the story. And the choreography it's blah. I mean, there's an awful segments of choreography in it, and then there's choreography that's merely kind of passable. It's a little too long. It's filled wall to wall with music from beginning to end. Feels like too much, really, but in a way it doesn't, because there's not really a story there to carry you along. So the music kind of masks that, because they're all beloved songs that you enjoy hearing and recognizing.
Right, okay.
The bright, shining spot of the movie is Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise seems to be the only performance that's actually trying to get at something. I mean, he's this rock god, and he's reached a time in his life where he's weary and he really has nothing. I mean, he still loves performing and that kind of thing, but the life surrounding it carries no joys anymore. And he plays it in a very unique way. I mean, you could think that it could be all attitude and
right.
all that kind of stuff, but he barely speaks in the movie above kind of a whisper. It's very comical performance, but it's toned down. It feels real, and he's the best. Mary J. Blige is the best formal singer in the movie,
right?
But Tom Cruise brings about the best kind of vocal performances in the movie. So it's. I found it both cringe-inducing and fun. I mean, I had both reactions to it.
Okay, all right.
But it's well worth watching just because the music is great, just the songs themselves are great, and Tom Cruise's performance. I mean, and it's stunt casting, but it's stunt casting that works.
Okay.
So I'm interested to know how many people are just going to feel like vomiting after they.
Right.
I predict the streak can drop off after once the second week starts.
Yeah, possibly.
It's possible. I mean, it depends. It just depends. I mean, there's a lot. You know, now we're starting to get to where they're going to start a lot of releases the next couple of weeks. So you are looking at that possibility. I'd be curious to see how well this does. I mean, it's going against Adam Sandler movie, so that's. Regardless what you may think of Adam Sandler, he's still a box office powerhouse in that department. So,
or it could possibly really catch on and become a great audience movie.
It has the nostalgia factor, which is huge right now. So,
and the whole Glee thing that you mentioned is pretty wise to mention that, because I think fans of Glee will be turning out for this. Cause they
didn't turn out for their own movie. I don't know what makes you think they'll turn out for this.
That's a very good point. Yeah, that's absolutely true. As a movie, I mean, this guy's previous movie, Adam Shankman, his previous movie, Hairspray, is a better movie.
Okay, all right, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And there's a really funny duet between Alec Baldwin, who's completely miscast, but and Russell Brand. I mean,
how's Russell Brand?
Russell Brand, if you find him intolerable, which I generally do, he's perfect in this movie. I mean, this is a movie where
I take it, right?
This is a movie where he belongs,
right?
But not to an annoying extent. I mean, he's a little toned down in this movie.
Okay.
But Alec Baldwin kind of overcomes his miscasting just by his very funny line readings, which he always does, and they're effective together, I suppose.
How's Catherine Zeta-Jones?
She's fine, but she's riddled with the poorest choreographed piece in the movie, which is "Hit Me With Your Best Shot," because they have such a conundrum here, because she's the leader of this city group of concerned citizens who want to shut down the Strip and rid this city of all the kind of the sin and the rock and roll and the drugs and vice, and so they're these uptight people, and they have to have a dance number and express themselves in a way that they're completely opposed to. So it's like it's a very awkward number, actually.
This sounds a little bit like kind of a bad movie, like kind of like a fun bad movie.
It doesn't parody the 80s. I mean, it doesn't lampoon the period. It's very affectionate about the period. It doesn't make fun of it. It could have been an absolute cheese fest, and I think if it is, it's inadvertently so.
All right.
But it's got a kind of a feeling of kind of innocence to it.